I'm picking up a frequency right now with my hat. Oh, it's conspiracy time. Hello, welcome to this. We're on the same wavelength. Same wavelength.
Wait, we shouldn't be able to be on the same wavelength.
Touch my hat. Yeah, there we go.
Did you just steal my intro? Hello and welcome to This Is. Today we're going to be talking about the biggest, not biggest, because these are kind of whatever, but the conspiracy theories that have plagued the tech world.
No, that's not how you do this. Do you know what the man's not telling you? Have you ever wondered exactly why my tinfoil hat has a very weird curve on the top? Have you ever wondered where 5G comes from? Why your iPhone loses performance? Or why everything you know and love is a virus? You're going mad with power, Matthew.
Mad, I tell you.
All right. Hit me with the conspiracy. This is a video before we even get started. And of course, you've already rang-a-lang the ding-a-ling bell, all that kind of stuff, right? Before we get started, this is a video that we've talked about for a very long time because conspiracy theories have been around for as long as theories have been around.
Yeah.
Right? People have ideas. Almost all of these ideas have some kind of basis in reality, right? You get a little kernel of truth and you spin it out into whatever you want, right?
Yep.
Today, we're gonna do our best to get demonetized by YouTube because we're gonna cinch up our tinfoil hats and take a deep dive down Conspiracy Alley featuring tech.
So while you guys were actually working, like you and Ken were shooting videos and stuff, I was just browsing the internet like I normally do.
Don't do that, Matt. Don't get on the internet.
I love going down the Reddit rabbit hole. And I found 3 tech conspiracy theories for you.
Okay, hit me. What
the first one is planned obsolescence. The idea that a company would be so nefarious, so cynical, that they would put a little timer in your device that when the clock strikes 0, it just falls apart on you.
That's actually not a conspiracy theory. That actually has happened on multiple occasions.
Correct.
So there's actually, I was listening to an episode of Planet Money recently, which yes, I know I listen to NPR because I'm an old guy.
No, that's like the millennial thing to do now is watch
Planet Money. Yeah, I gotta know where I gotta put my bonds in the market and other things like that. Essentially, HP a few years ago had a timed bomb inside a firmware update for their printers. Essentially, if they detected that you were using non-authentic ink, it had like September 16th or whatever as the day that every one of their printers that had the firmware update, which it automatically downloaded, it went, oh, I'm printing garbage, you need to replace me, and they're essentially using it to sell more printers. Now, to be fair, they did settle the lawsuit, so we'll never know exactly how much they ruined your device. But it's true, that's a real story. But there are also slightly more realistic examples of planned obsolescence. There has been a pretty much constant stream of lawsuits against Apple for this very thing for many years. Now, I will actually say, if I move my tinfoil hat up to a more presentable angle, I actually don't think Apple is a particularly bad offender when it comes to this.
No.
Now, the big thing was definitely the battery gate conspiracy. Essentially what happened was when the batteries started to lose performance, iPhones were crashing. Now this is not a crazy thing to think about, right? So essentially the processor inside the phone would spike up when you load a web page or you do something that's a little more demanding. It would spike up and ask for the full amperage of what the battery could sort of provide. As the batteries got older and older, sometimes those spikes would be more than the battery could handle. The processor would shut down, the entire phone would crash. This was a thing, especially I feel like the iPhone 6 generation. A lot of people, when you had slightly older batteries, the phone would just randomly crash a lot. Now, the way to fix that was essentially they pushed a software update, unbeknownst to everyone, right? Unbeknownst to everyone, that when it detected a used battery that was below whatever the threshold they had set, it would limit the power of your processor. So essentially, instead of being able to throttle all the way up, it would instead hit 80% speed or 90% speed or something, which would be fine as the way they do it now because you have a little like battery health thing in the iOS app, and it will tell you exactly what's going on. But when they first pushed this update out, you had no idea. All you would know is that your Geekbench score was a little bit slower. You were losing some performance, but there was no actual reason behind that, which kind of shady, and they've been sued many times about that. So I guess the difference is Microsoft releases Windows, which runs on basically everything, and even systems that ran Windows 7, as long as you upgrade, it still works. But most other devices, I mean, once your Android phone manufacturer stops giving you updates, which is 15 minutes after you purchase the phone, unless you're willing to root it and to find a custom ROM, you're not going to get updates. Apple does a better job. On the Mac side, Macs are usually not supported for more than 7 years or so.
Yeah, well, that's what I just like always found fascinating with because people are pissed off about Apple because of this, like, of the battery thing. But Apple's also really the only company that says we're gonna update these phones for the next 5 years.
Yeah. So on the Mac side of things, you don't have the same flexibility as Windows, right? If you're running a 8-year-old Mac or whatever, you're probably not able to update all the way. You may get a security update very rarely, but that's it. On the phone side, though, Apple does do a good job of supporting their devices for much longer than pretty much anyone else, right? I mean, you will get full day and date updates on an iPhone that could be 5-6 years old, right? I mean, I think the 6S still gets updates, and that phone came out in 2015.
Yeah, so that's like it's also like technically saying we're gonna support this for X amount of how many years. That's technically planned obsolescence.
Sure.
There's a roadmap of when we're gonna stop supporting it, and when it's not supported, the App Store doesn't work. So
that's actually not entirely true.
It's not entirely. You're right. My dad's running into this right now.
Yeah.
That he can't get the latest Zoom updates because he's on the original iPad. So he was able to get Zoom.
Wait, what?
Yeah. My dad's on the original iPad. He's just like, oh, this works for what I want it for. I don't think he could get Microsoft Teams.
Yeah. That thing's running like iOS 5 or something.
Something like that. It only partially works right now, which is, again, that's technically planned obsolescence.
Yeah, it's understandable. Of course, we're not all using 1984 Macintoshes. It's not like they continue to update and support them. So there's obviously some element of this which we all expect. But if we tighten our tinfoil hats, there is something to the idea that certain products do lose support much quicker. And specifically in the case of the Apple thing, the battery gate thing was an actual issue.
Yes.
It really is only an issue because they didn't communicate it, right? I think as long as you're being upfront and honest about it, it's understandable that as the device gets older, you're gonna lose performance, right? That makes sense. The fact that they were doing this without people knowing it, that actually was not a conspiracy theory. That's just actually not right.
And it just, as soon as you're doing it in the shadows, it's just suddenly so much more nefarious.
Wait, you say doing it in the shadows?
You said doing it in the shadows. Doing it.
Oh, this is getting very shadowy.
We're doing it in the shadows.
Oh, wow.
Our next conspiracy theory comes from... No, now you're just illuminating me. I'm the old...
What? This episode of This Is brought to you by Tomfoolery. Thanks, Tomfoolery, for giving us the incentive to do dumb things.
So the real reason we're wearing these tinfoil hats is because we don't want the 5G waves to enter our brains.
Oh, is Bill Gates reprogramming my neural cortex right now? Oh no! Look, this is a conspiracy theory of the stupidest proportions.
And this is one that has been going, like, as long as cell phones have been going on, this is one that I've heard every generation of cell phone.
Are you saying that your mind control chip doesn't work on 3G anymore? That's unfortunate, Matt.
When cell phones came out, the theory was that you were just gonna have these giant tumors on your face from the Zach Morris phones.
5G supposedly gives you all manner of terrible things. It could give you cancer, it could cause all kinds of stupidness. Now, the reason that people quote why 5G or 4G before it, or even people who are afraid of things like Wi-Fi and TV signals, and Better Call Saul is a great example of that. The idea of what it's like radio...
Electromagnetic waves.
There you go. Yes. There is a little bit, as with most conspiracy theories, there's a little kernel of truth here in that all radiation exists on a spectrum, right? The thing is, it sounds very scary when you think about like, oh, gamma rays and all this kind of stuff. But the other thing... Hulk. Yes, that does. That's a confirmed scientific fact that you can Hulk yourself.
Yep.
But the thing is, it's also on the electromagnetic spectrum, visible light. And I don't think people consider that to be this evil cancer-causing thing. So essentially, radio waves based on their frequency are larger or smaller, right? And certain frequencies can certainly cause cancer. right? That actually is a thing that's called radiation. That is not good for you. What you don't have to worry about are things that are non-ionizing, right? These are radio waves that pass through us every single day. Tinfoil hat or not, there are radio waves that pass through all of us for our entire lives. That is fine, that is normal. I can confirm it's okay. It's not part of Bill Gates's evil cabal of conspiracy mongers who are trying to take over the world. That's just the way things are. So I'm sorry to let you down, conspiracy heads, but 5G, totally fine, unlike this video.
Living in California, if you go to any location whatsoever, there's a giant plaque that says, hey, just being in this area will
Cause cancer?
Will cause cancer. I'm not even making that up. Like, that's just like
Prop 65, my friends, look it up.
So it's everywhere. But like the idea that like 5G specifically, like people are like chopping down and burning 5G towers.
So stupid.
But like the same thing happened with like 4G. There's a bunch of dumb Luddites that just think that this is just gonna like fry their brain. And Luddite is your word of the day. If you,
Whoa, we do words of the day?
Yeah.
Austin and Matt's happy, funky word of the day. Wait, hang on, wait. I got tuned into a new frequency. Matt, I'm sensing something. I'm sensing something. Is it time for a lighting change? Ah, it's bright! Oh, my eyes! Ah, is that Unix? Unix is a virus? Ah! Okay, all right. Now that we've come back down to earth, Matt, can you tell us about our final conspiracy of the day while I try to fix my very ill-fitting tinfoil hat?
Okay, so this is probably the most conspiracy of the conspiracy theories.
Okay, go for it. Hit me.
Unix. The operating system. I'm not a tech. I'm not a tech guy. No,
you've got the tinfoil hat on. You can tell me whatever you want about Unix, and I'll believe you right now.
So Unix was an operating system developed by Bell Labs in the 70s. So Bell Labs is at&t.
Back in the olden days.
The olden days in the 1800s. Well, I mean, at the 70s, it was also the same.
Yeah.
But Unix was designed in-house,
right,
for Bell Labs for their computer mainframes.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Makes sense.
The theory is that Unix was actually a super elaborate computer virus.
Okay.
Designed to be super cheap and portable to spread to as many user systems as possible.
Okay. To do what?
Be so insecure and unreliable.
Wait, Linux people made this up. Linux people made this up.
that it would require AT&T. It would require users to come back to AT&T to support and upgrade their systems, which they were super reliant on.
There are a lot of layers here.
Yes.
First of all, you realize Unix is from the 70s. There were no such thing as personal computers back then. They were just mainframes. So there's nothing small, cheap, affordable, or spread everywhere with that.
Not entirely true.
There are also like 5 computers that existed, so a computer virus was not particularly useful.
Like with all the other conspiracy theories, there is like a kernel of truth to this.
AT&T likes to make money.
Yeah.
That checks out.
So when they first developed Unix, it was one of the only like multi-user interface, like the only way that multiple users could access a mainframe. So that was popular. But again, it was developed for in-house. But when they published a paper on it, like, here's what we did, a bunch of other organizations and companies really wanted it.
Yeah.
Now, because of a deal, or because of a legislation, I don't know what would you want to call it, but basically for antitrust reasons.
Okay.
Bell Labs was not allowed to sell it commercially. Basically, they couldn't sell it because it wasn't classified in the telecommunications.
Sure.
Which is kind of crazy to say now because it's all you're not.
Well, the tech space was so much smaller back then, right? I mean, there were like 5 companies in the entire space. You know, think like IBM or whatever, right? Like, and there were a couple companies, and they did everything because no one had computers. This was such a small and nascent space.
So there was more and more people getting computers, and we're not talking about personal computers. We're talking about
mainframes.
So what Bell Labs did is they sold companies media.
Ooh.
Which I could
suspicious.
I could not find the price of media in 1970.
A lot.
It was still a lot, but
a hard drive was like a refrigerator size.
It was tape. It was magnetic tape. So whatever the cost of the magnetic tape was plus shipping and handling, because they always get you on the shipping and handling. 1995.
That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just true.
Yeah, but so they just so happen to include Unix on that media. So you bought. So
so it's like you buy the hard drive and the secret evil computer virus comes for free.
Yes, and so when they finally were able to license it, the licensing, the reason it was so popular, it was portable. So it was one of the first OSs written in C. So it meant it could be installed on almost any system.
Sure.
Whereas the original Unix was only on the whatever big tape computers they had. When they rewrote it for C, pretty much no matter what system you had, there's only like a handful of lines of code. So it could be on everything.
I don't understand how this is a conspiracy theory, though.
Where it gets nefarious.
Oh, ring the bell, nefarious time. Go ahead.
Is Bell Labs was doing this against the will of at&t.
Ooh.
So
okay. So the subsidiary, the secret Skunkworks lab, are cooking up an evil computer virus without their big brother company knowing.
Specifically
the shareholders
the lawyers.
have nothing.
Specifically the lawyers.
Yeah, never tell the
So
lawyers.
that was the lawyers were the ones who said that. Like they had a very strict policy, and so they did start licensing this out. And anyone could license it, but like you say, it's very strictly regulated, it's closed source, it's like
Sure.
whatever. But it was about the equivalent of about $100,000 to license it.
Woo! That's some money right there.
Yeah, and anyone could license it, but you had to.
Anyone with lots of money could license it.
You had to go to at&t. at&t had a very strict no advertising, no bug fix, like no maintenance,
Boy, I love that for 100 grand.
no troubleshooting. Basically, a group was formed of Unix users. Basically, all the system admins for like it was like UC Berkeley, all these colleges, all these academic things that were using it. And they essentially became the bug, like they're the ones who were troubleshooting, and they were the developers for Unix for at&t, and they end up forming a group called Unix, which sounds like a.
I thought you were about to say like they formed the Illuminati, and I was about to go like, hold on a second.
Well,
what?
so Unix is like basically the group that researches OS operating systems now, and like
This doesn't sound like a conspiracy theory, Matt. This just sounds like excellent business practices from a company who makes lots of money.
Exactly.
Clearly, this was successful, and we all use Unix now, right?
Let us know in the comments what other conspiracy theories you want us to look into.
Wait, no, don't do that. Please don't do that.
I want to go on so many rabbit holes.
Oh, no.
Give me an excuse not to work so I can read all these
The next
things.
video, Matt will be wearing an entire aluminum foil suit.
For the record, I have a picture of me wearing that already.